Hello, everyone, and welcome to From Overwhelmed to Optimized, the CPA's 60-day blueprint for a stress-free tax season. This webcast is brought to you by CPA Practice Advisor Magazine and IRIS. I'm Gail Perry, Editor-in-Chief of CPA Practice Advisor, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we get started, I'd like to explain how CPE for this webcast works. The webcast qualifies for 1 credit of continuing professional education. If you plan to earn credit for attending this session, you must stay with us for at least 50 minutes. In addition, we will display 4 polling questions during the webcast. You'll need to record an answer for at least 3 of the questions, as this is our verification that you are still watching. Later today, you'll receive an email from CPA Practice Advisor that contains a link to your CPE certificate, assuming you met the requirements for CPE. Please note that we can give continuing education credit for multiple people watching on the same computer. So if there are others in your office who would like to attend this event at the same computer, please have them join you now. And at the end of the event, we'll provide an opportunity for you to send us their email addresses so they too can receive credit. At any time, you can enter any questions you might have in the Ask a Question box provided on the left side of your screen, and our speakers will try to get to as many questions as possible during the presentation. Questions not answered during this live webinar will be addressed by the speakers afterwards via email. The slides for this presentation are available for download by clicking the Event Resources option at the bottom left side of your screen, and then click on the PDF file that is displayed. So today we are joined by Kathleen Grant and Eva Mrazakova from IRIS and Gabor Zakurnis from Apxium. Okay, we are now ready to begin.
Thank you, Gail. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm very excited for this session. Before we dive in, we'll do a little bit of an introduction of the presenters, and then we'll ask you a question and we'll dive straight in. So we're going to talk about how to have a different busy season, hopefully less stressful, more organized, and how to minimize the gap between the work you do and between actually when you are getting paid for it, and doing it in a fashion that it's not laborious, actually makes you more efficient, makes your workflows much more efficient, and makes you hopefully happier during what is probably the most stressful time in your professional calendar. So I'm delighted. With me, I have 2 esteemed guests today that I will be quizzing on today's topic. And so first one is Kathleen. Kathleen, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. My name is Kathleen Grant. I am the Senior Director of Product here at IRIS for the U.S. accountant industry. I've been at IRIS for 3 months now, but I've been in the industry, the accounting space, my whole entire career, where I started out in public accounting. I'm one of the tax folks, not the audit folks. I still hold my CPA license, so I still dabble in tax. I just seem like I can't get away from it. So, but I'm excited to be here and talk to you guys how we can help you have a stress-free tax season.
Thank you. And Gabor.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. I'm super excited for this. My name's Gabor Zakurnis. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for Apxium. Apxium is not quite the brand name that IRIS is, so I'll just quickly tell you a little bit about Apxium and what I do. So Apxium is all about accountants and getting you paid. So that's primarily all we do anywhere you happen to find us. And we are a global organization. We work across the world, but we work with many, many firms in the US, from big, very large, in the billions in receivables, to quite small, with a few partners. My role as the Chief Commercial Officer is a bit of a hybrid. I manage our operations, but also I'm the lead, technical lead on projects. So I work directly one-on-one with our clients to onboard them and then to make sure that they get the best experience they can. So hopefully I'm able to bring some of the experiences I've had with the hundreds of firms I've worked with into this conversation and tell you a little bit about how some firms deal with their accounts receivable and payments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Really looking forward to this conversation with you. Now, before we set the scene, Gail, can I ask you kindly to read the first poll question?
Certainly. Okay, this is our first of 4 polling questions. How ready is your firm for tax season? And the possible answers are 100% ready, mostly ready, somewhat ready, not at all ready, or please send help. And go ahead and choose the answer that is most appropriate for your firm, and then click the submit button. And we'll see those answers come in a minute. If you have any trouble answering the questions on screen, it should have popped up in a separate window. But if you have sometimes pop-ups are blocked or something and that doesn't pop up, if you can't answer it on screen, you can put your answer in the Ask a Question box and we will record it there.
Thank you. Okay, so we can see the results coming up. Oh, and it's still changing, so let's wait. This is exciting.
No.
Okay. Okay, so majority of the audience is either mostly ready or somewhat ready. We have about 10% not at all ready and 2% please send help. Kathleen, from your past experience, how does this resonate with 60 days to busy season? Is this kind of average? Would you expect this answer?
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting this, actually, to tell you the truth. You know, over the years, we've seen, you know, it's interesting. When you ask this question at the beginning of tax season, everyone's pretty optimistic, right? So this is about average. You got about 60% that are saying they're mostly or somewhat ready. So they have a certain level of comfort going into tax season. Some of that is probably because they've been through tax season. You already have some processes in place. You've done it before. So there's a certain level of comfort already there, right? I think this is where you can go from one level to really getting optimized, right? So it's always good to kind of refresh and look at your processes again. It's interesting. We really need to know who the couple of folks that are in the please send help area. We're here to help. So happy to help you there. So we'll throw you a lifeline. But yeah, I think, Eva, I think it's very typical for people right now.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And kudos to 12% that is 100% ready to go. So well done, guys, for that. Now, let's set the scene. Okay, so there are a lot of statistics, a lot of surveys done around the tax seasons. But as you can see on this graph, just few stats. The average firm loses between 10 to 20% of profit during the tax season due to rework, manual work in progress management, billing delays, and late payments. Now, staggering 72% of firms say burnout peaks in February, March. Well, there is really no surprise, right? There's all hands on deck. And it's mainly because they still relying on disconnected systems. And where automation would have been maybe a bit of a buzzword or fancy word, it's not longer a nice to have, it's must to have if you want to be efficient. The surveys also say that firms automating more than 50% of accounts receivable work see 32% lower DSO. So it's really in hand of automation and how efficient can we be. And that's going to determine whether this busy season, this tax season is going to be chaos or calm for you. Now, Kathleen, in terms of when we talk about disconnected workflow here, which one of these are the most familiar to you and connected to that?
I love insights. I think anytime that any firm can grab some insights or get some statistics on where everyone else is, it really gives you like a benchmark, right? So I'm looking at this, and we do have some burnout at 72%, which is very typical. But anyone that has gone through tax season will know that tax season is not for the faint of heart. There are a lot of moving parts, and having a blueprint or a roadmap in place is so essential, right? But if you look at the stats here, there are a couple there that really stand out to me. The first one now is the burnout rate of 72%. I'm actually surprised that this isn't higher. And I'll tell you why. Okay. So tax season, like I just said, it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot going on. It is compressed. You have talent shortage. Everyone is hiring right now short term for tax season. They probably have a lot of junior accountants on staff. So the talent shortage is a real thing. You have a lot of the resources having to do a lot more in a very compressed amount of time. So this is going to contribute to the burnout. Okay, the burnout rate. I remember when I was in public accounting, and I was obviously on the tax side. Starting in beginning of February, we had to work every Saturdays. Okay, well that's fine to work. Think about in your own practice, working 1 or 2 Saturdays during tax season. We had to work every Saturday. Do that for 12 weeks. You will have a high burnout rate. So I think, with the takeaway from this is that there are firms out there. Yes, we have a burnout rate of 72%. It looks like we have a lot of firms that are burning out, but there are a lot of firms. There's a certain percentage of firms who have managed to put together a blueprint for tax season, who have managed to look at their processes and put something together so that they can manage their work. And it's all about managing your workflow. Now, another one that kind of stands out to me is the billing lag. You guys bill all year round, right? So having a billing lag of 59%, I think this is an area, and I don't know if this is just tax season. I'm going to assume that 59% is just in tax season. But I think this is an area where a firm can really look at their billing process, look at the technology that they're using, and really make some small changes, and that can help. Okay, so for example, how is time being entered? How is it being captured? Do you have automated billing systems? Do you have an integrated system that really takes the whole work to bill cycle and compresses it and automates it? And I think we're going to probably talk a little bit about that later. Even the review process can contribute to a billing lag. And what I mean by that is the review process. You review your tax return. If you don't have all your stuff in place, it's going to delay the billing, right? So I find that that's a little high at 60%. It means that most firms are having a bit of an issue with their billing, and I think that's an area that if you are in that group, that you can really optimize and bring that down significantly.
Yeah, thank you. Gabor, looking at these stats, I think some of them relate to kind of what your company, what your business stands for. Do you relate? Is that what you hear?
Well, absolutely. It's interesting. I was looking at this, and I also had a slightly different perspective, which was those clients that have, as Kathleen said, have got their processes sorted, because what we see, Apxium sees the entire billings of a business, and we absolutely do see a huge amount of billing coming through. But the flip side is when you do have everything in order around your payments, the payment volumes are massive. So it's so fascinating to watch how throughout the year it's relatively steady. Then tax season comes in, a whole bunch of billing comes into the system, and the system starts getting the payments. And then the flood of cash coming in for those that do have it sorted is actually really exciting, because plainly we're partially all about payments. So it's really exciting to watch that flood of money come in. So I'm sure the partners and the managers are pretty happy at that point. But you do have to have your matters sorted first, as Kathleen said.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to read one of our audience members, Nicole is saying, last year I worked a full week as an auditor, and then I helped a CPA do taxes every Saturday for 6 hours. Next on Sunday, I worked all day on housework. By May, I was totally exhausted. So this is going to be a recurring pattern. We can relate. I certainly can. Kathleen, I'm sure you can.
Yes.
It can be very overwhelming and exhausting. So we can relate. So there is probably time to rethink. Now, but why firms stay in the reactive mode? So when you look at this process, as we have it outlined here, you take the paperwork, the data, the documents, you do the work for the client, and you do the review. And then once you almost like breathe sigh of relief, do the work, everything is submitted. But this is where it should be really happy period, because we want to be rewarded for the work, right? So that's when the billing process starts, and it's usually delayed, it's lagging. Then the payments, again, usually delayed and lagging, and there comes reconciliation, and it seems like this is a really friction triangle, and it keeps repeating itself. So it's a constant pressure, and during busy season we don't have time to plan and strategize or implement. Really, we are just in the reactive mode here, right? So how can we optimize this? Kathleen, can you give us a sneak peek of how can we optimize this?
Yeah, this is interesting, because I keep going back. I go back to the survey that we just did. We had 12% that said that they are ready to rock and roll, that they're good to go, right? And so, which is great. That means that they may have gone through a tax season where they haven't been reactive, right? And they may have optimized their systems, and they know what needs to get done. You still have 60% that are saying, we're kind of ready, right? But the thing is, no matter if you're in the 12%, you're in the majority, it doesn't matter where you are. I think it's so very important that a firm takes a time now before tax season to review your current state of where you are in your processes, so that you can have a successful tax season. Every year brings on new challenges. We all know that, right? It's very fluid. There's so many moving parts, and there's a lot of things that could be introduced, right? So even if you are in that 12%, or even in the I have my stuff figured out bucket, I think it's a really good time to take the time now and just say, what, are we ready? Where do we look? We don't want to be tax season is when you are heads down and you don't need to worry about what are my processes working. You have to optimize your processes and technology now. It's like tax season is not the time to do it,
Absolutely.
But you mentioned that. But if you take a look at your overall process, so you kind of have it there, you have intake, work, review, billing, payments, and reconciliation. So billing and payments are really like heavy processes. But if you kind of break down, if you go and look at your processes now and you break them down, okay, and this could be meeting with your different your different groups and say, okay, you know what? Let's just take a minute. How are we capturing our client data? Have we optimized that? Do we have an integrated solution that allows for us to track all those artifacts within a workflow? When are they getting received? Can we share them successfully across the organization so they're not duplicated all over the place? Do we have a folder system? Another area is, capturing data, actually doing the work. There are so many solutions out there to capture time. So is your current process for capturing time optimized in a efficient way? Meaning, are you capturing all of your time? And does your process allow for, does it have notifications? Does it tell you when you don't have certain time, or certainly your staff member, they haven't entered their time? Because let me tell you, if you don't bill your time, or if you don't put in your time, you can't bill for that time, which also causes delay. Another area under the review process, you think that this is, we're just reviewing the process. I have seen some review processes that have taken, and I'm talking reviewing the tax return, that they're waiting on the partners, or heaven forbid, I'm hoping no one is actually reviewing their tax return manually, like the old-fashioned way where you print them out and you take and type them. That can also delay the process. Again, if you don't do that and optimize that time, you're not going to be able to bill for that tax return. Yeah. So it's really optimizing and taking another step in the review process. A good thing if you're thinking about the work and the review and even the billing is, do you have, looking at your processes, do you have a scheduling or due date system? A lot like at IRIS here with IFM, we have due dates, we have scheduling. It's able to show you where your item is in the process, right? So then you can look at it and say, okay, you know what, this is now my bottleneck, and quickly get around it. So, you're not staying in a reactive mode. Going down the list here for billing and payments, and I know this is where, we have an integration, IRIS has an integration with Apxium that works really well. But, looking at your bill to cash workflow, how optimized is that? You should be able to get to the point that process, your bill to cash workflow, from the time you create your bill and send it to your client and they pay for it, and then you reconcile it back, reconcile that payment back in, it should be optimized, and so that there's a lot less manual tasks. I will tell you, if you look at your process and you see manual tasks everywhere, those are your bottlenecks. Those are your items that you need to look at your tax stack, see if there's a solution there that can automate it. So if you identify those areas, look at your technology, it probably can be handled by using, one of the new features in the software, a feature in your software and your solution that you're not currently using. And, that's where you're going to go from being very reactive to being proactive.
Okay, thank you. So few of the things that are slowing us down, and you've mentioned some of them, so I'll just fly through these. 59% of invoices to professional services firms are paid late, which means that it's extending DSO and increasing the write-offs. 63% of the firms, they like real-time visibility into the work status, which is obviously causing delays. 73% of accounting professionals say that they waste excessive time chasing information, documents, and approval. That's real. I think that was one of the biggest pains for me, trying to locate the document and find the right things at the right time. But really then lagging behind is the slow clients payments and the billing lag, which is really slowing everything down. Now, when we've been kind of discussing prior to this, you guys identified 3 bottlenecks here, which are WIP sign-off lag, fragmented payments, and manual collections. So Kathleen, for the fragmented payments specifically, what does a firm look like if they have solved that? and how many different payment experiences do clients actually deal with? And then we'll go over to Gabor as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, as far as the fragmented payments and the collection, that falls squarely on Gabor. You could probably talk a lot about that. I do want to just make a point about the WIP sign-off lag, but an attribute or a characteristic that I've seen time and time again in talking to a lot of firms now that I've been out of public accounting for several years. I won't mention how many years, but a long time. And so I talk to a lot of firms, and one of the things that I keep hearing is that they're using the same past 10, 15 years, right? But it's so imperative because technology is going so fast. Everyone talks about AI now. Everybody talks about automation. Technology is going so fast. Things are changing so fast that it's so imperative that you do a health check. Okay, so let's just take a couple of the ones that you just mentioned. So the WIP sign-off lag. So I mentioned earlier about the partner review, tax returns. So partners are pulled in so many different areas during tax season. So being able to reduce the rework time for a partner, meaning the amount of time that they have to touch a tax return, okay, you can, if you reduce that time, then you can improve your lag. There's less delay, right? So there's softwares out there. There's, like I mentioned with IFM, we have due dates, we have scheduling. There's software and solutions out there that can help with taking that and bringing the process all the way through. Making sure that all your documents are in order, or trying to find a document. I think you mentioned that earlier as well.
Yeah.
Do you have an integrated document management system that can help quickly find those documents that are integrated with your firm management, that creates that task and integrated with your tasks and your workflow? So there are a lot of tools like IFM that can provide you with that type of insight so that you can reduce the delays and increase your productivity. Okay. Now, the second and third one you mentioned was fragmented payments and manual collections.
Yes.
And, I'll mention, but Gabor, I know you have a lot of knowledge in this space, but when it comes to your bill to cash workflow, the goal is to get paid as fast as you can. Okay. So essentially it's to have a low, right? And providing a client with a streamlined process of your bill to cash is going to get you there and ultimately lower your manual collections. But I mean, Gabor, that's your area. I'm sure you have a lot more insights into that.
And I think you've stated that exactly right. It's fairly intuitive if you think about it, in that you want to make your client's life as easy as possible. And so effectively that workflow you give them, make sure that they're not searching for information. They're not having to find what they need to do, because obviously the invoice goes out, and then at that point someone might get an invoice and they're in the middle of something, and they've got the kids to take to the football, they're going to do shopping, they're at work, maybe they're an accountant, and they're in the middle of tax season. The last thing they can think about is paying their own accountant. So they're very busy, and what you're doing to them is you're sending them a piece of paper that they're meant to put aside and remember the details, and then somehow go to another system and make payments. What you want to do is effectively make their life super, super easy, whereby you send them the invoice, and we'll get into reminders, but you're sending them documents where they don't have to search for anything. They just click a link, and they're essentially in their own environment where they can see their bills. You tell them, this is how you pay us, click here, make the payment. And so if you make that efficient and streamlined, you get paid significantly faster. And the statistics are pretty powerful on that as well. That's right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So I think we reflected quite a lot on where are the issues, where are the bottlenecks, where is the friction. So let's kind of use the second part of our session today to actually discuss what should be the pillars of a successful workflow and successful cash flow management. Okay. And we have three on here. So we have visibility, we have workflow, and we have profitability. So let's start with the first one, visibility as the foundation, really, because getting the real-time insights into work, so important, knowing at any time, at any place, exactly where you are as a firm, as a business, and kind of being able to plan ahead. Kathleen, can you expand on what do we mean about the clarity and seeing everything at a glance?
Yeah. So, it goes back to that process. You get information that comes in, it goes through a process, it gets billed, and it goes out. You have your partners, you have your staff accountants, you have a firm administrator, you have a lot of people that have their hands in the pot getting that work done. So, your partners are so focused on like meeting with their clients, trying to get their work done or getting the work in, getting it done. And they don't want to have any surprises, right? They need clarity and visibility on where their clients are, where's the information, where are the bottlenecks, and where do they need to spend their time? Okay, so they only have a certain amount of time. Where can they spend their time, the high value work, essentially what we're talking about, right? So it's so important to have dashboards and or even reporting that can show a partner where is the work, where's the task in the process, right? And so that they can go ahead and look forward to where are those potential bottlenecks. Now, another interesting thing that kind of plays, not only, where's all the work in the workflow, so having that due date or that scheduling system is so important as part of your tech stack, but also, one of the things is the partners are so focused on, they're not looking at their AR because they're just trying to get the work in and get it done, right? So having visibility into the cash flow and having visibility into their DSO is very important, even as they go through it, because they don't want to, at the end of the tax season, they don't want to say, oh, great, why do I have such a large DSO? Why do I have so much AR, right? Because the last thing they want to do, they don't want any surprises. What's even worse is having to have those uncomfortable conversations with those clients because, the AR didn't come in, right? So having visibility into not only the work, but also where it is in the site, in the process is so important. It really eliminates any of those bottlenecks and surprises.
Yeah, surprise is not a really good thing in this case, right? We don't want
surprises are not good
like that. Yes,
unless it's a new client, okay? Unless it's a new client that comes on. Like this surprise.
Yeah, all good there. Now the second one is the workflow. Okay, so we're trying to remove the frictions at as many points as possible. What do we mean? Workflows that keeps everyone moving. What do we mean by that, Kathleen?
Keeping everyone moving. Yeah, during tax season, and I mentioned there's a lot of moving parts, and human error tends to increase, right? So because you have so much going on. Human error, if you have a lot on your plate, I know in my case, if I don't write it down or if I don't have a due date system, if I don't have a tracking system, then things tend to fall through the cracks, right? So, doing things manually, you're going to have, it's going to increase the human error, potentially increase the human error, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you really so you want to kind of eliminate that, right? You want to keep your workflow moving. And if you have human error, if it's not automated and you're still relying on Sally, but Sally called in sick today. So now that task has dropped. You can't have that. So having an automated system that will help keep the workflow going. And it's what I mentioned earlier. You need to get the information in quickly and work through the process quickly so that the firm can get paid quickly, right? So being able to rely on a tech stack that can really support, automate, and provide visibility into the data will ultimately save a lot of time for the firm. So and reduce headaches, of course, right? So it's keeping that workflow moving through consistently, moving through the process. I saw a survey that was done recently by the NSA, and they said approximately, I thought this was interesting, and it's probably not surprising to anyone, but I saw it said that if you do tax returns, that approximately 50 or 60% of a firm's revenue is billed between February and May. So if you think about that, you want to have that continually moving through your process. So, So having having more of an automated system and not human manual tasks is going to help.
Yeah, getting paid as fast as you can for that. Obviously, if the 50% of your workload is concentrated on that. Also, really the standard process, right? Not different groups doing different things because they think it's the best way of doing it. And then we end up with very messy processes and we don't know where we're going or what we're doing. And then we do have nasty surprises as well in terms of the write-offs and so on. Thank you, Kathleen. So now if we talk about the profitability, Gabor, and this one will be for you. So this pillar is all about turning completed work into cash faster, shortening that cycle. So how do we do this?
Absolutely. I think profitability is one way to look at it, but it's really about the cash flow, isn't it? It's about how quickly can we get the money into the business. And Kathleen's mentioned it so many times. It's all about your systems. It's all about your processes. It's all about the data. And so there's a lot on this slide that we can unpack. And it's first of all, well, what is that? Where is our data? We've created an invoice, but if you think about it, that could be something that some firms still to this day would print out an invoice and put it in the mail. So what is our data? Where have we created an invoice and what do we do with it? So if all your systems are integrated, then what you have is one source of truth. In this case, in this particular example where you've got an AR system such as Apxium and you've got a practice management system such as IFM, then the source of truth needs to be IFM, not Apxium. You do not want to be replicating workflow and data in your AR system. That is a crazy thing to do. So effectively, the integration is all about you've done your WIP, you've turned it into some billings, and now you've essentially got an invoice object. And from there, you want your AR system to run with that. You want to take that data, take in the invoice, take in the PDF, take in the contact details, take in any other relevant reference to that billing, such as the office, the entity within the firm, and you want it to exist natively in your AR system. And the reason you want it to be there is because then you can customize the way that system operates and sends reminders and statements to your clients. So you've got the data, it's efficiently come across, you haven't had to retype anything, and now the system has all of the tools it needs to run and collect your money for you. And the next one of those is, well, how do we get the data out? We want to get it out there to the client. We can assume the invoice has gone to the client, but we also talk about reminders. We talk about dunning processes. A lot of firms have this stick and carrot logic whereby they might be accruing finance charges, and then that's the stick. And if you don't pay us, then we're going to accrue finance charges. But you need to bring that to the client somehow. So one of the things I often challenge clients with when we're onboarding and we're working through our documentation is, why do you do monthly statements, for instance? It certainly works very well, but if you think about why monthly statements exist, is because when you were printing out invoices and statements, it was a lot easier to do everything in batch. Well, wouldn't it be better if we could customize those documents so that the client is getting them as the invoice is aging? So if you have, as it is a great example of something that I've come across around automated reminders that works really beautifully. If you accrue finance charges, let's say on 30 days, then you can start reaching out to the client before that finance charge is accrued. So we know invoices are payable on presentment, but they rarely are paid on presentment. So instead, don't wait for 30 days and accrue finance charges. Send them something, say, at 25 days, which is a really soft courtesy reminder. Say, hey, you're going to accrue finance charges at 30 days. Why don't you click here and pay? And so that way we create the flow where the client knows that they can go in, click a link, self-serve information, and make a payment, which we'll talk to payments in a minute. So if you set up your automated reminders, as Kathleen said, then you've got a dashboard where you're seeing, what are my clients getting? How is my billing aging? Where are my problems? Where are those clients that are significantly outside of where I need them to be? And then the system will contact them automatically and give them the ability to then click a link and make a payment. So I could talk on automated reminders, dunning processes and statements for about an hour, so I'm just going to have to move on. The other thing to think about is the client experience. It's you've sent them a document. They need to have an environment where they can pay you easily. Don't make them jump through hoops. Don't get them to fill out checks. You don't want checks. They don't want, well, some of them want to do checks, but forget checks. And we talked about disconnected payments. That's not the same as lots of payment options. Disconnected payments are when you're making your client jump through hoops to pay you. But on the other hand, if you give your clients lots of options, such as paying you with credit card, paying you with ACH, setting up installments, doing professional fee funding, automated debits, these are all the tools that you're going to use. Each one is incrementally going to reduce your DSO slightly, but when you put them together, they have a massive impact. We went live with a client in Chicago at the start of the year, and within 2 months, we reduced their DSO by 30%, and their average invoice aging by 50% in 2 months. And that's all about the really robust dunning process that firm put into place around escalating language as the invoice is aging, reach out to them. And then when you get paid, you want that payment to not be a data point where your finance team has to then go into something like an IFM system and manually reconcile it. You want to have that solution where clients paid and it automatically reconciles. There's a live connection and it automatically reconciles for you. So there's some points about the cash flow side of things. What I would really urge the attendees at this meeting to think about is, as accounting firms are moving towards various types of billing, such as fixed fee billing, that sort of thing, one of the things you can really use is this idea that don't bill the client at the end of the workflow. Do not bill the client at the end of the year like you do in tax season and try and look for the money. Rather, try and come up with an agreement where you're billing the client throughout the year, for instance, on a monthly basis, and then automate that with the system like Apxium, whereby every month, instead of charging them 12 grand at the end of the year, hit them up for $1,000 a month and automatically debit the money, take it directly out of their bank account with their agreement, of course, and then get that reconciliation. So there's a lot I could talk about there, but there's some ideas for starters.
Amazing. Thank you. Now let's play a little game to see how is our audience engaged. And we're going to do this in a different way. I'm going to ask the question, and if you can put your answers into Q&As so we can see what your answers are. So the first question, when you see these areas, these hidden bottlenecks, which area causes the most friction in your firm today? So is it slow client payments, billing lag, document chaos, workflow breakdowns, or visibility gaps, or are there a couple? So we're going to have a look at the Q&As. If you wouldn't mind submitting through Q&A section, Gail, I hope it's the right way I'm asking people to do it.
Yeah, that's fine. Just right in the ask a question box. You can just put your answer right in there. Thank you. Let's have a look. If document chaos, billing lag, document chaos. Okay, so document chaos seems to be winning this. Slow client payments, another document chaos, workflow breakdowns, So document chaos is definitely winning this, guys. And then the billing lag. Okay, interesting. Thank you. Okay, let's play again.
how many hours per week do you estimate this issue costs your staff or partners? So how much does it cost your business? In how many hours per week do you think you waste on these? So none, okay. Let's have a look. Workflow document chaos. So how many hours are we short here? Can we see answers to that? Of 4, 3, 2.5, 25 per case. Wow, 5, 2. Okay, it's a mixed bag. I waste about 10 hours per week. So those are 15 hours. Those are significant, right? If you add the charge out rate, this will add up pretty quickly. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's go to another one. This will be the last one because we need to move on. If you could fix one part of your process before tax season, which would matter the most? Now, this will be interesting whether it will connect to the most challenging ones. So if you could fix one part of your process before tax season, which one would matter most for you to fix? Manual workflows, client documentation. Okay, manual workflows. Let's have a look. People are still adding up. If you could fix one part of your process before tax season, which would matter to most? Billing and payments. Here you go, Gabor, billing and payments. Client documentation chaos. Okay, another document chaos. Lots of document. Billing lag, workflow breakdown, workflow. Okay, we have a team, I think. We have a team really between billing and payment lag, document chaos, and workflow issues. Okay, that's giving us a bit of a picture, which is nicely taking us to, okay, let's talk about how we modernize. Okay, what is our roadmap to modernize or optimize to remove these issues that we just stated? So, Kathleen, we're starting with you, and then Gabor will take over just to talk through this.
Absolutely. It's interesting because I think we can, if you think about everything we had talked about, throughout this, it's really summarizing everything we've spoken about. So, before tax season, take a week or two, look at what is in your toolbox. What tech stack do you have? What are your processes? Where are those bottlenecks? Where are those friction points? So it's taking and it's talking to a bunch of people, talking to the different people in your firm to see where is it that is the biggest bottleneck, and and then you kind of have to rank them, right? So it looks like from our little polling that billing and document chaos are kind of are top of the list. And so if that is something that is in your firm, that is your biggest bottleneck, then try to tackle that. You can't boil the ocean, obviously, but there are, take those workflows or those bottlenecks that have a higher impact and that affect a lot more customers and internal staff. And then, the other thing is look at your tech stack. If you are using, like, for example, if you're using a firm IFM, which is our practice management system, there are a lot of feature functionality out there as we continue to enhance. There's different integrations that we've done. For example, with the billing and payments with Apxium, there's a lot of functionality there that you may not be aware of that could potentially help with some of those bottlenecks. And then the second part is before tax season. This is probably now you're looking at January. Look at getting alignment, right? how can you implement those steps, or how can you standardize those steps?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people said document chaos. You know, where do you store your documents? How do you store your documents? Is your document management integrated with a United Client Portal, you know, with the client portal and your practice management system? Is that somewhere that you could bring those together to have more of an integrated solution? So it's really looking at it at a high level and identifying those practices. And I think, you know, I know we talked about documents, and we did talk about, but the other one was the billing lag. And I think, you know, Apxium does a great job, you know, if you want to, Gabor, if you want to talk about points 3 and 4 on how we
Before we go to Gabor, let me just pause there and let's do a couple of polling questions because audience is asking, and then Gabor, it'll be over to you for the Apxium part. So let's make sure so they can get all the credits they need. So what is your biggest billing bottleneck? Gail, sorry, I took over, but can we launch this survey?
Okay.
Sorry, I just realized that I should have. Do you want to take this over?
That's all right. Okay, this is our official second polling question. The other questions we were just doing kind of for fun.
Yeah.
This is the second polling question. What's your biggest billing bottleneck? And the possible answers are lack of real-time work in progress visibility, manual workflows and handoffs, billing lag from work done to invoice sent, AR delays and slow payments, disconnected systems or too many tools, or client document chaos, including missing or late uploads. That's a lot of ways to have a bottleneck. So pick the one that's the biggest headache for you, and then click the submit button.
Yeah, Gail, and then we will go to third one and fourth one before I hand over back to Gabor.
Okay, that sounds fine.
So we have that, yeah. Okay, manual workflow handoffs are winning, and then we have a billing lag, or client document chaos, obviously. So top 3, manual workflow handoffs, billing lag, and client document chaos. Okay, thank you. Gail, whenever you're ready, let's go to the next one.
Okay, this is our third polling question coming up now. How often does your firm bill during tax season or during busy season in general? And the possible answers are weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, at the completion of a project, milestone-based, or continuous as work is completed. So choose the option that applies most frequently in your firm, and then click the submit button.
Yeah, it looks like the typical, this is what we would typically see at project completion. Almost 50%.
Mine is not refreshing, so I don't see it actually, unless I'm looking. I'm looking at the right one. Okay, at project completion, and then continuous as work is completed. Okay, very good. And let's go to last one. I'm mindful I want to leave space for Gabor, so let's go to last one and then.
Okay, our last polling question is just a real quick one. Are you interested in learning more about IRIS? And your answer options are yes, no, or call me after tax season.
Perfect. So Gabor, we're going to ask you to compress. So I'm going to actually go straight to the slide 16, which kind of, you can talk about the roadmap and modernization and how kind of Apxium comes into this change or optimization. Over to you.
Certainly. Look, and it's a little bit of information and data about all the things we've spoken about, the integration, the reminders, the payment rails, and it all just comes together in this connection between IFM and Apxium. So when you've got the data source of truth, you've got the native integration. So the idea of Apxium is that there is no replication of data. And as we pick up those invoices, we essentially have all the data out of the IFM or STAR system. And we create a dashboard for the clients. So when the clients click a link, any link that you click, they go into their dashboard, they can see all their invoices 24/7. So we've got a lovely dashboard. They can also see all their entities. So if they happen to have multiple entities with your multiple businesses, trust, a couple of companies, their own personal tax, all of them on one page. All the entities on one page, all the associated invoices, all directly out of IFM or STAR, and then they can make those payments. And I want to make it, again, just focus on the idea that you want to give your clients options on how to pay you. And you don't want checks. So ideally, you make it really easy for them to essentially pay you. If you want to surcharge your credit card, you can. The Apxium system automatically works out where the payer is. And so those states that do not allow processing fees, it automatically cancels the credit card processing fees. But in all the other states where it's allowed, you're able to surcharge your credit card. And then once you take that surcharge, again, all the payments are automatically reconciled. And something that I'm really excited about is that it's a given that all the payments Apxium takes are automatically reconciled in the IRIS systems. And that means that you do not touch them at all. And it might sound like hyperbole, but it's 100% right. But what's really exciting is that we're working on a new project, which is currently in beta testing, where we're not just reconciling our own payments, but now we're going to be reconciling your external payments that aren't Apxium payments. Because we have full visibility of the ledger, we have the ability to post payments. Why wouldn't we help you then post other payments that you might receive, such as wires and external payments to Apxium, by automating it with machine learning, AI, and basically really finalize that idea that Kathleen created, whereby the source of truth, and you have a cycle and a process to get the payments done. So I'll stop there, because if there's any questions, I'd love to answer them. Not entirely sure if we have any time for that.
I don't see any. I think we've been answering in the background. So I think if you want to add anything more, or you're good.
What I would talk to is this sense that if you've got this time before tax season and you're looking at what can we do, there's a lot of disconnected payment solutions out there. A lot of your staff are, answering phone calls. It's not just enough that you're billing a lot, and then the clients are calling up trying to pay over the phone. There's a lot of disconnected links for payments out there in the market where clients have to enter their details in. By putting a system in that creates a really lovely 21st century modern experience for your clients, it will dramatically improve your payments, your payment velocity. And I would look at that. If you're looking at something to do really quickly before tax season, then that is where I would start. Look at an integrated payment solution that really makes it that whole carrot and the stick. The carrot is you're giving a really nice environment to pay you, where all they can self-serve information. They don't have to call up for invoices because it's all online for them. They can make payments really easily, see their history, etc. That's where I would start.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Gabor. We hope you find this useful. I think the important message we want to send across to you all is there is still time for a change. You can still make a difference to your tax season. So as Kathleen said at the beginning, we are here to help in any way we can. Please do reach out to us. Thank you to my lovely presenters. Thank you, Gail, for facilitating the poll questions as well. Should you have any questions, please do follow up with us individually or through the QR codes as well. And we hope you found it useful, and we will see you again very soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for presenting such an informative webinar. We really appreciate it. And as you can see, there are QR codes on your screen. If you'd like more information, that's the easy way to get it. As a reminder, you will receive a link to your CPE certificate later today in your mail. Look for an email from CPA Practice Advisor. We really want to thank Iris for making this event possible and for enabling us to offer CPE to our attendees. If you have any questions about CPE, you can contact me directly at gperry, Gperry, at cpapracticeadvisor.com. Also, if others are watching this event with you at the same computer and they require CPE credit, you can email me their names and email addresses, and we'll make sure they get certificates as well. Again, that's gperry@cpapracticeadvisor.com. We're going to post a quick survey on the screen, and we hope you'll share your feedback with us so we can continue to improve our webinar series. Thanks, everyone, and our audio will end now.
Thank you.